To start answering calls from the contact centre, make sure you're logged into the UCC and you're in the available state in Teams. You'll now be offered customer calls. When a customer call comes through to you, a Teams notification window will appear at the bottom right of the screen. It will show the UCC the call is coming from as well as the customer's number. When the call comes in, you can also see the customer timeline appear in the middle of the WebAgent screen and the contact information to the left if you're connected to a CRM system. Answer the call by clicking on the purple phone icon. When you've answered the customer call, the Teams call window will open and your presence will change from ready to busy in a call. You can now click back on the WebAgent window to hide the Teams window and handle the call from the WebAgent. Now that you've answered the call, certain call controls will appear in the WebAgent window. You will also be able to see the phone number of the customer, the UCC they called, and the skill which they've selected. In the customer history section, every previous call will have a timeline. On the timeline, you can see the dates and times the call came into the UCC, which skill the customer selected, how long they queued for, who they spoke to, and how long for. You can look back at any previous calls by clicking on the dates and times on the screen. You can also select a different month. The customer information to the left side of the screen will depend on whether you have a CRM system configured. When on a call with a customer, you have several call handling options. To place the customer on hold, click on the yellow hold icon. The icon becomes highlighted to indicate the customer is on hold. To go back to your customer, click on the hold icon again to resume the call. You can also add colleagues to your call to turn it into a three-way conference call. This is known as a delight transfer. Click on the Invite More People icon. You can now search for a contact by name or phone number. Once you've entered the name or number, click on the number or contact below. They will now be called. Once they've answered, a new set of call controls will appear next to the additional participants. Here we can see the number of the person we've added to the call. The cross icon will cancel the conference. The person that was added will be disconnected and you can carry on talking with your customer. The call controls next to the additional participant allows you to place the conference on hold, add another person to the conference, mute the whole conference, or transfer your colleague to your customer. If you click on transfer, you'll remove yourself from the conference and your customer will be left speaking to your colleague. To mute your own microphone, click on the microphone icon. The icon becomes highlighted to show the call is muted. While a call is muted, you'll be able to hear the customer, but they won't be able to hear you. If you're in a conference with more than one person, no one will be able to hear you, but you will be able to hear them. To unmute yourself, click the icon again to unhighlight it, and your customer will be able to hear you again. There are three types of transfers that can be performed in the WebAgent: a blind transfer, delight transfer, and a consultative transfer. A consultative transfer will be referred to as a consult transfer in this video. A blind transfer will transfer the customer straight to your colleague without announcing it to them or checking that they're able to take it. A delight transfer enables you to add a colleague to your customer call, making it into a three-way conference before completing the transfer. A consult transfer allows you to speak to your colleague first to inform them about the call before transferring the customer to them. Let's start by looking at a blind transfer. To perform a blind transfer, type in the name or number that you'd like to transfer the customer to and select the name or number from the list below. The system will now call your colleague. When your colleague answers, the call will disappear from your screen. If your colleague doesn't answer, the call will remain on your PC. Now let's have a look at the Delight transfer. A Delight transfer creates a three-way conference before you complete the transfer. This allows you to introduce the customer to your colleague before you leave the call. Click on the transfer icon. You can now search for a contact by name or phone number. Once you've entered the name or number, click on the Delight transfer button. They will now be called. Once they've answered, a new set of call controls will appear next to the additional participants. Here we can see the number of the person we've added to the call. The cross icon will cancel the conference. The person that was added will be disconnected and you can carry on talking with your customer. The call controls next to the additional participant allows you to place the conference on hold, add another person to the conference, mute the whole conference, or transfer your colleague to your customer. You can now introduce your colleague to the customer and complete the transfer by clicking on the transfer button. The call will now finish on your end. Now let's perform a consult transfer. Click on the transfer icon. You can now search for a contact by name or phone number. Once you've entered the name or number, click on the consult transfer icon and the number or contact to start calling them. Your customer will be placed on hold. The call controls next to your colleague allows you to put them on hold, mute yourself, or complete the transfer. Call classification is used to log the type of calls that came through to the call centre. It can be used in a multitude of ways, but this can only be completed from the WebAgent window. An example where call classifications can be used is in a marketing campaign. You can use call classifications to identify which advertising medium was the most successful. Another example is a service desk logging the types of calls they're receiving. If classifications are being used, every conversation needs to be assigned a call classification. If the call was regarding multiple issues, it's good practice to classify the call with the main issue that took the longest. You can either classify a call during a call or after the call. To classify a call while on a call with a customer, select the classification icon on the top left-hand corner. Select a classification from the list and press Save. Once the call is finished, select End Conversation by clicking on the green flag in the WebAgent window. This is really important as this will close the information part of the call. You can also classify the call once the call is finished. It doesn't matter if the customer has hung up, as the information part of the call is still available and you have the opportunity to classify the call then. Select End Conversation by clicking on the green flag in the WebAgent window and a pop-up box will appear. Select a classification and then select Handled. You can also select Finish without Classify if no further classification is needed. If customer calls not closed in the WebAgent window, you'll see information about all of your previous calls stacking up on the top of the WebAgent window. To clear them, go back to each call and select End Conversation. Either select a classification and select Handled, or Finish without Classify if no further classification is needed. Please note that even if you haven't closed the information part of the calls down completely, you will still have the opportunity to receive another customer call. When you end a call, you still need to tell the system that you've finished handling it. When you answer a call in the call centre, it will appear at the top of the screen. You'll also see a timer indicating your handle time. This is the amount of time you've spent with the customer. Once you finish the call, you must still finish handling the call. Click on the red hang up icon to finish the customer call. The information part of the call will still be visible. Now click on the green flag icon. This will mark the call as handled, and it will clear from your system. If you don't handle the call, the information part of the call will stack up as seen here. Make sure to handle all of your calls once you've finished. You'll be unable to log out of the system if you have any unhandled calls. When you finish your call, the system will put you into wrap-up time, but this will depend on the configuration of your UCC. During this time, you won't receive any additional calls. This time can be used to finish any notes about the previous customer or to finish classifying the call. You can increase your wrap-up time or cancel it. The wrap-up counter can be viewed at the top of the WebAgent window. To increase the time, click on the plus icon. The wrap-up time will increase by 10 seconds as default unless the setting has been changed. If you find you no longer need the wrap-up time, you can cancel it by clicking on the cancel icon. When your wrap-up time has ended, you'll be placed straight back into available, ready to take another customer call. There are a few factors to consider when making an external call. Calls can be made straight from the WebAgent window or Microsoft Teams. This will depend on your company policies and procedures. We advise using the WebAgent window to make external calls. Calls made from the WebAgent are recorded and reported on. The number being displayed to the customer will be the call center number rather than your direct number. Internal calls must be made using Teams. Callers will see your profile and calls will not be reported on or recorded. To make an external call from the WebAgent, click on the dial pad icon at the top left and enter the customer's number, including the plus and the country code. Don't forget you may need to drop the leading 0 from the phone number. Once you click on the green icon, Teams will call you. Answer the call and Teams will then call the customer. You can then proceed with your phone call as normal. You'll have all the same call handling capabilities as if you're receiving a customer call. The customer timeline will appear in the WebAgent window, and you can continue to classify the call during or after the call. If the customer is hung up, the WebAgent window will continue to display the customer details to allow you to finish classifying and handling the call. If wrap-up time has been configured, you'll also be placed into wrap-up mode.